everybody. I'm Janet. This is Cindy, and Adam is here too. We're going to give you a trash tour tonight, the 20th of March, 2008. And we're in downtown Manhattan. We expect to go to 4, 5, 6 stores in the neighborhood and explore what kinds of trash the stores have.
Okay, see that?
Freeganism is a philosophy and a lifestyle.
Freegan is a word derived from the words free and vegan.
It's a way of living that resists all of the advertising and all of the media, all of really what society tells us to do, to consume.
And so a Freegan is one who tries to refrain from purchasing, refrain from participating in that capitalist system.
I'm motivated to become a Freegan when I see so much waste, when I see that we're such a disposable society.
Ooh, fennel. Where's the still? Who's the cook? Fennel? Do we want fennel? Oh, see, they put the good stuff in the middle. Look at that.
Oh, is that a big smell?
We've taken, in New York City, we're in a unique situation in that trash here in the city is just out on the streets everywhere.
It's shocking that people would eat from the garbage. And I understand, I was shocked also. I couldn't believe that there would be good food in the garbage.
Another bagel, same thing, bagel with cream cheese packed on March 19th with coffee grinds.
The idea that somehow it magically becomes inedible because it's been deemed garbage is just, it's a superstition.
Janet, would you have a bag? These I can't imagine, actually. But if you start playing the why did they throw this away game, you could just drive yourself nuts, because there's often no reason whatsoever. Oh, now that is fennel.
A lot of what they see is that whatever they may think, if it's extreme or whatever, but there is a lot of perfectly good food going to waste, and they don't like seeing the waste. Whether they think they would do it themselves and eat that food themselves, they think the waste is horrible, and there's really no way to look at that waste and say that's an okay thing.
But what do you find in there?
Finding lots of good, usable food.
Really?
Yeah.
It is pretty unbelievable. I don't know that I could live on that, but it is pretty unbelievable to see the amount of food that we throw out every day. But not sure that I could eat it.
And at the very least, getting the word out there about this waste will make people think at least about the waste. Even if they think we're nutty or they can't break that cultural taboo about garbage being dirty, they can still see that huge amounts of food go to waste, and that's really a shame.
Well, happy hunting, guys. Thank you.
There's stuff other than dumpster diving. That's just
No, I absolutely, no, that's great.
The reason these are thrown out, I'm going to guess, is that there's an expiration date. Actually, it's January 28th, 2008. Today is November 12th, 2007. So these still have a few good months. So my new guess is that they got sticky, that the box dented, that they changed the size of their packaging. There's so many reasons that we don't know, but they're odd, obscure reasons that stores have for changing the packaging. Maybe now there's a Thanksgiving theme on the new boxes.
How can you possibly think that all of this food going to waste is somehow okay when there are people going to bed hungry tonight here in New York City. How is it okay that this food is here on the curb and going to a landfill? How does it not make sense to take this food out of this garbage bag? And it's horribly sad and horribly depressing. It's criminal how much waste there is.
The average American makes about 4 pounds of trash per day.
4 pounds is a lot. It's a lot. It's possible, but I don't know if I actually produce 4 pounds. Maybe 2.5.
So it's probably about half of that. Maybe 2 pounds. I don't know. I'm going to measure it now and find out.
Very shocking that one person would waste 4 pounds. I mean, how much food is that?
New York City residents dispose of about 64,000 tons of solid waste every week, which is over 3 million tons of residential waste every year.
If you go to a major stadium, perhaps like here we talk about Yankee Stadium, being a massive size, and if you imagine that structure of Yankee Stadium being a Tupperware container where you have a lid on it, that we fill that 3 times a day here in New York City with trash, and that one entire Yankee Stadium is actually compostable.
The Fresh Kills landfill was closed because it had reached capacity. Right now, I mean, Fresh Kills is the highest point on the eastern seaboard south of Maine. It's visible from satellites. It's one of the largest man-made objects in the United States. And it just, quite frankly, got filled up. Because organic waste is not included in the residential recycling program, organic waste is supposed to go into your black garbage bags, which are picked up by the Department of Sanitation, then go to what are known as transfer stations, where they tip their material, then gets put into a barge or to rail cars, and then it is shipped to out-of-state landfill locations. There are economic factors. I mean, the fact that New York City doesn't have a landfill anymore and has to go to out-of-state disposal facilities, that's why we have to spend $300 million a year in export fees to get those materials to out-of-state landfills. So the more we recycle, the less we export, which means that New York City saves money. Now, in terms of the environmental impact, any materials that go to landfill will produce landfill gas, and landfill gas is a combination of methane and CO2. We all know that CO2 is a greenhouse gas, but most people are not aware that methane is also a greenhouse gas, and it's far more potent, approximately 23 times more than CO2. Recycling is the simple, everyday way that people can take personal responsibility for helping to combat global climate change. Because the more you recycle, the less goes into landfill, the less methane and CO2 is generated from landfills.
Compost is organic material that is broken down through a process of decomposition to its most basic elements.
The composting process, it's basically the rotting process. So it's going to happen whether you like it or not. If you leave out a banana peel, it is going to break down and eventually become compost.
This doesn't smell at all.
If you don't care about the soil, which it sounds like probably most of you do, it's an environmental justice, it's a health issue, it's just a peace of mind issue. So that's, 1/3 of the stuff that I've been throwing in the trash and trucking away. I can take care of within my home.
Siting facilities like that very often are met with community opposition. People just think, irrespective of what they may be told about a facility, they still think it's going to smell and attract rats. So they very often will express their discontent with those kinds of facilities, or be subject to what is known as NIMBYism, which is not in my backyard.
I do not compost, so I don't have a backyard or anything, so it would make a big smell, I think, in our...
I wouldn't bring my garbage to a compost bin, first of all, because I wouldn't want it on the corner of my house, because it would attract bugs and rats, and it would smell, and I would not like that.
When you're working in the produce aisle, you have to picture yourself as a shopper. Say, okay, would I buy this? That's the first question you answer. Now that I've figured out that that's what sells, now I have to ask myself another question. If I had it in my kitchen, would I eat it? And if I had it in my kitchen and I would eat it, or at least eat part of it, then I have to give it to the soup kitchen box. If I would not eat it and I would throw it in my garbage at home, then I put it in the compost. These are basil leaves that really no one will buy, and really we wouldn't give these to the soup kitchen. Here's an onion. This is a mistake. This could be given to the soup kitchen. You could cut that part off, that part, and the rest of it is beautiful. And so we make mistakes. It's a big education project to let people know. Here's a sweet potato. It's good. It's firm. It's good. Until here, no one will buy it. But this should have been given to the soup kitchen. The soup kitchen would just cut that off. Here's a grapefruit that's very rotten. That's correct. It should be in here. But the most important thing is that we don't put this into a landfill. It either goes to a soup kitchen or it goes to compost, and we don't go with it to the landfill. We have relationships with various community gardens in our neighborhood, and they each have a composting operation, and we bring the barrels there.
Welcome to the contents of my kitchen. These blood oranges I found on Friday night. A lot of them. Yesterday I found these. It's enjoyed by, if you want to, I don't know if you'll see it, but it says March 19th. So this is not yet expired. I found it last night, and it's... you can't smell it in the camera, but it's delicious. So all of this food was recently just sitting on the curb. It was sitting on the street in Manhattan. It was ready. In another hour it would have been in the landfill. And here it is, feeding me and feeding hundreds of other people because we go out and rescue it. None of this is garbage. Broccoli rabe, of course. What am I thinking? It needs to be cooked soon. What I do with my food waste is I compost it. So I save some of these salad kind of containers. I put my banana peels and food waste. I've had this worm box for about 7 years. Because here, you don't smell anything. That I'm opening up something that's live, filled with life, but it doesn't smell because it's living instead of rotting. Just without the worms, just their waste. This is the compost. It's called black gold.
Okay, here, look. See, this is parsley. See, we had this parsley in the house now 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Who could possibly use all that parsley in a week? Not me. So you know what's gonna happen to this parsley? It's gonna get tossed. We bought 2 days ago, and I ate some, and Jeffrey ate some. And now there's no more soy sauce in the house, so nobody's gonna eat this. So this is gonna go in the garbage too. This will probably be used. Look at this. Look at this. Look, see, I reached in there. Feel that. Feel that. Look. See, this is Rocco. See? Rotten. See what I mean? This is rotten. In the garbage. I mean, you keep it in my refrigerator. I can't stand it. So this piece of cheese. See this piece of cheese? Rocco put this piece of cheese, has it in the refrigerator a couple of weeks now. He thinks he's going to eat this cheese. He's never going to eat this cheese. Look, it's turning green. See? It's starting to mold. Where's this cheese going to go? In the garbage like everything else. It's going away. That's it. Cheese Eddie, here. It's not good. It was dry. Did you see how dry it was? It was overcooked. Who is gonna eat that? It tastes like paste, man. Gook, gooey. No good. No good. Garbage.
There's a path that food travels from production, the point of production, to the point of deciding whether it's considered food or waste.
If I think that Rocco will eat it, it'll go in the refrigerator. If Rocco won't eat it, it'll go right into the garbage.
If I open it 3 days before the expiration date comes up, then I might use it. So, you know, I'll give it a sniff.
I mean, unless it's pointed out to me. Of course, I've seen movies and stuff on the environment and things like that, and I don't want to contribute to a bad environment. I care about my country. I want it to last for my future generations, but I don't know what kind of a part I'm supposed to play in that. I recycle. It's annoying, but I do it. I get rid of my plastic and recycling, get rid of my newspapers, magazines, recycling. But garbage, you know how hard it is? Who recycles food? Answer my question. Who recycles food?
Whenever I peel off the skin, I compost that. Strawberries, you know, you don't eat the tops. Leftover vegetables that I don't use. And coffee grounds in the filter. What else? Potato skins, vegetable skin.
I think I throw away about 2 big bags a week. I usually keep it in the freezer until I come down here to throw it away. I feel good about the composting. I feel like it's sort of a pain in the neck, but it's worth doing. And I feel good when I bring my scraps here. And so I feel like I'm doing something good for the earth and cutting down on my own waste.
Okay, and so these are the worms that we have here. So these are called we call them red wigglers. They're also known as bloodworms. So and this is an option for people who want to be composting in their house. They don't have a backyard. This could be a fire escape project too, in the summertime. But otherwise, it would just go under your sink or in a cabinet.
Right. And this doesn't smell at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't smell. Good. A well-managed compost will not smell.
I've been aware of worm composting for a while, but I didn't know that it was something that was being promoted in New York City, you know, for New York City residents that, you know, characteristically have a little, not very much space to work with. So it's kind of exciting to see this as something that's doable in the city.
A lot of people think that this is gross, but really this is just food. And when you think of this food just becoming earth again, like will just become soil, it means it's not that gross. This is all, you know, organic matter. It's just what, you know, it can break down. It's what everything is made out of. And it's really important that we don't feel that, oh, this is so disgusting, like this is beautiful, this is just going to become soil and grow more things again.
The opportunities for composting are not extensive in New York City because we do not have a great deal of composting capacity in terms of composting facilities. In the absence of having a composting facility, what sense does it make to pick it up when there's no place to bring it?
Those 11 big containers are our in-vessel composters. We get our compost in Union Square, people drop it off, we bring it down here in the truck, we bring these bins over to the truck, we fill them, bin of compost, sawdust, compost, sawdust, compost, sawdust. This one I mixed today, so you can see like the sawdust is fresh, here's all the, this is the food stuff, we have flowers in here, corn husks, and it's really tall right now, but over time you'll see, this is the next one we're gonna empty. See how much it's sunk down? So this is what's happening in our in-vessel composter. It's starting to break down, the water and the leachate is starting to get drained, and now we can take the temperature. They usually, after like the first week, we aerate them just with an auger and then close them up again. And that's when the temperature really starts to fly. Here, it's almost 130 degrees. This is what's being drained out of the bins. This is really smelly and really toxic, and we want to make sure we're always draining it because, we have to be sensitive to people's, we don't want to, as people are walking by, we don't want them to be so turned off by this project just because of the smell of it. Our composting system is aerobic because it's composting with oxygen. So we have air that can get in from the top and from the bottom. So it's not anaerobic composting, which produces methane gas. After about 2 weeks, we then bring the bins here, dump them into these piles. There are already worms in these piles. So you can see, even if you just dig in a little bit, this stuff, this is about ready to be sifted through. You can see, and there's a worm, but you can see the difference from what you just saw in there to this, and this has been all worked over by the worms, these guys. You can't see the food here anymore just because this is basically at the end of the process of decomposition, and the worms and bacteria and all the other microbes that work in the process of decay have munched over this, and it has turned into the product that we want, which is the finished compost, the really nutrient-rich, energy-packed kind of food for plants. So once we have our finished product, just the straight worm castings, we bag those and then we bring them to market. It is recycling, and people don't necessarily think of composting. They might have even tried it in their backyard and they're like, oh yeah, I tried composting and that didn't work. Well, composting basically always works because it's nature.
City Harvest, what we do is we rescue food from various sources of what we call food donors. And we transport that food to soup kitchens and food pantries throughout New York City. City Harvest will distribute 20 million pounds in the year. That we pick up about 56,000 pounds of food a day.
Many people ask me, every day our customers ask, what do you do with the bread at the end of the day? And we say, well, we try to plan what we need, but whatever we have left, we always donate to City Harvest. They all feel good, especially restaurateurs. We feed people. Our job, our pleasure is to make food for people. Then to see it go to waste at the end of the day is just really sad, So you feel like part of your dream of nurturing is to feed other people that need your food as well. So that's a really, a very soul-satisfying part about City Harvest, or to donate to a food rescue situation at all.
Yeah, we're gonna slice them into sort of finger-sized things and drizzle oil and rosemary on them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, instead of just taking the skin off and...
The baking.
Oh, what's the stir-fry stuff then?
I mean, it's not really trash, you know, it's food that's like 1 day past its expiration date and then they throw it out in bulk. It's like somebody was saying before, it's not like they're like picking through people's like scraps of like something that somebody's already eaten. It's like perfectly good untouched food, so.
It's a banana cake.
Oh man. You heard just came out of the garbage? Delicious.
Reaction shot.
It's amazing. Yep.
And so it's great that they can compost it. We give them the resources for that, but that doesn't solve the problem of them having wasted this, you know, perfectly good food that could be used by others or things like that. So I think conscious consumerism.
I think it's important in order to reduce food waste on an individual level to buy only the things that you know you'll use and finish before you go shopping again.
I'm trying to be more careful now, but sometimes I overbuy food and I end up having to throw the vegetables, especially vegetables, away. So now I'm trying to shop more often so I can keep track of what I really need. And I'm trying to cook more often too.
I don't think about what happens to the food. I bought the food, we didn't eat the food goes in the garbage. I mean, I don't know what happens to the food after it goes into the garbage. That's what the garbage people are for. They know what happens to the food, not me.
It's our garbage. And it reminds me of the worst of America. We make so much garbage and we put it away and never want to think of it again. And it's somebody else's problem now.
If each individual can make their own actions or steps that are ecologically based, then they will be making a contribution to helping repair the planet.
I think I do my part for the environment with the plastic and the paper. I don't think that I have to add the food products to it.
Is it the right thing? There's any number of right things. For me, the wrong thing would be just going on like nothing was going on.